Tom Pinson sitting alongside head football coach Ryan McCarthy, almost 2 weeks in. We talked about Groundhog Day in the podcast a little bit, and you see a couple of the guys walking around a little bit slower than they were about a week or so ago. Is this the point where it gets to this grind between right now and when you start prep for Fordham in about a week or so?
Well, here's the good thing. I would say of the 11 practices we've had thus far, I'd say one practice was lethargic and not up to the standard we asked them to be at. Other than that, there's been really good energy. Now we're moving things around. We don't have anything in terms of periods that are longer than 10 minutes. So they're constantly on the move. We're trying to give them as much recovery time as we possibly can, and we're just trying to avoid that point in camp that's probably inevitable, but we're trying to avoid it.
A couple times a week you've been going at night, from 7 to 9. And I was here last night, which was, right now it's Thursday, so I was here Wednesday night. That energy at the beginning was impressive.
Yeah.
Whether they have all day to acclimate and get ready for that, or it's not 100 degrees on the turf, is that a reason for going at that time, or the players enjoy going at that time?
They do enjoy going at that time, but it's more so for recovery, and it's something that Pete started to do. I think it was last year. Was the first year we did it, and we're going to play our first game at 6 o'clock at night. That's part of it too, to get them acclimated to the lights and things like that. But yeah, the night practices are certainly the most intense, and that's where the kids have the most juice. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how we come out this afternoon, because it's warm. It's warm out there today, and we went through a walkthrough at 10 o'clock, and the sun was hot. So we're going to, as a coaching staff, we're just going to try to just suck it right out of them and try to let them build off of or feed off of our enthusiasm.
Give me two guys on each side of the ball that have stood out. I'm not trying to leave people out, but if I asked you for everyone, we'd be here forever and you wouldn't make practice. But
yeah,
two guys on each side of the ball that have really stood out.
Well, I'd say two guys on offense that have really improved since the spring. One would be Kenyatta Houston, redshirt freshman running back from Canisius High School in Buffalo. He's a guy that's gotten stronger. I think he's got a better awareness and a better understanding of what we're asking to do with the scheme. He's certainly a guy that stood out. Wide receiver, there's a couple of those guys that Gio Pierre has made strides since the spring. He was here all summer, and that's showing. Xavier Bass has had a really good camp. And I've hit on Aaron Winchester. I mean, he's obviously coming along, and a guy that's done this now for a 5th time. So he's been through camp. He knows how to handle it, and he picked things up extremely quick.
As he learns more and more of your offense, do you just start to see him get a little bit more comfortable as each practice rolls along?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a guy that, he's like having another coach on the field. He's very similar to Jake in that regard. I mean, he picks things up incredibly fast, and you only have to say it once to him, because he can correct the mistake. He's a student of the game. He's always attentive, and he's got good leadership skills on the field.
And to have a guy like that and then have 3 younger quarterbacks underneath him, I mean, it's a great opportunity, especially, Kyle and Steve Williams, be a year under Jake and then a year playing with Aaron. I mean, that only helps those guys too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can ask for 2 better guys to learn under, obviously starting with Jake in terms of the way he approached everything. So I hope they're taking notes.
How about the defensive side of the ball? Defensively,
I would say, and not really a big surprise, but the cornerback play has been really good. Tajik Bagley, 4-year starter, and Dexter Lawson. Dexter Lawson's a really good football player. Very, very instinctual, excellent technique. He's going to return punts for us. He's a talented football player that plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. Up front, I think defensively, I can't really say that there's one guy that totally stands out. They're just all very solid. Mm-hmm. They're hard to move, and we're big, and Trevante Jones is a guy that is our other guy on the edge that we're going to rely upon. But I'd say the guy that's really stood out the most is Fode Jala. He's only going to be a sophomore, but he's got legitimate talent.
You guys scrimmaged last weekend, and it's usually that point in the year. It's a weekend. It's usually maybe defensive ahead of offense. But what did you see last weekend?
Well, if you were in the stands, the defense was ahead of the offense. And it's interesting because the offense had a great week of practice. And in all honesty, I'd say the offense, if you really tally the days and the competitions, the offense has probably won the majority of those days. But the defense came out on I think it was Sunday or Saturday. You lose
One of
track
the coaches asked me what day it was
right,
last night.
Right. So they came out, and you could tell they were ready to go. Now the hard thing is that they've seen one another for 15 practices in the spring, and now throw another. At that point there was only 6, but so they don't get as if you're not bringing your own enthusiasm. By the time we get out there and start scrimmaging, it's too late. So the defense certainly played well. The offense came back the next day and really practiced well. And then last night the offense practiced again very well.
You'll scrimmage again soon?
We have tomorrow off. So what we're doing is we're taking Friday. The kids don't practice on Friday. And then we'll scrimmage on Saturday as we did last week. And it's kind of just how the calendar fell. But what I like about it is obviously we play on Saturday. And the practice on Friday is a modified practice. It's an hour. It's really more of a glorified walkthrough. So it's kind of simulating a game week, if you will. And that was kind of the thought in mind. So we won't see them tomorrow until the afternoon. We're going to give them the morning off, let them sleep, and recharge the batteries, and then we'll scrimmage on Saturday.